Hello and welcome to Retire Abundantly. I'm Sarah Peterson. I'm here with Tim Sullivan, CEO and founder of Strategic Wealth Advisors Group. Great to be here with you today.
Good to be with you as always.
I always learn so much. We have a lot of fun, but we never can cover all the topics. So we'll just jump in. I know we were talking earlier before the show about a study that was really interesting given all that's going on in the world, forecasting that 80,000 brick and mortar stores will be closing. Businesses are really suffering from all this.
It's crazy. And all you have to do is drive past your local mall, or when's the last time you've been in your local mall? If you ever walk through there, it seems like a ghost town. You see all of these restaurants closing outside in the perimeter of these malls as well. And this started way before COVID. It was a trend starting all the way from Amazon, people buying more things online. People realizing that, whether it's restaurants, they could have these people go pick up the food and bring it back to them so they're not going into a lot of these restaurants as much as they were prior. And it goes all the way down to just our regular workers, with them being able to potentially get rid of some of that real estate that they're paying so much money for and start having some of their employees work from home. So this started a while back, and we could see that happening more and more moving forward. And we just have to be prepared for that because this isn't going to change. When you're able to do things from online, like ordering clothes or food or anything else, that's a different way of doing things, and we're never going to go back to the way it was before because it's easier, it's less expensive for them not to have these retail shops, let's say, and it's only going to get worse, we think.
Well, you're also noticing the, supply chain situation is, it's affecting the online shopping as well. I mean, for example, I like to shop for clothes online and then go to do that. Everything is pre-order, out of stock. It will be back ordered, this and that. They're not ordering the inventory. They can't get the inventory. I personally am shifting to shopping local. I think, I really love supporting local businesses. And I find that when I do now, I feel so much more satisfaction. If I can go to a great business, walk away with something, it's like a win-win situation.
You're helping out your own community. You're helping out your neighbors who own that small business. I mean, just think about the trickle-down effect from people not having to go back into the office as much. The people that are working from home, they aren't, using the dry cleaner. Someone as small as the dry cleaner, went from probably, X amount of dollars losing probably 50 to 60% of their income because people aren't, needing to go to use the dry cleaners anymore. So it is that trickle-down effect. We like to try and support our local businesses from anything that we get, whether it's for, our clients or anything that we do for our office staff. We're trying to buy locally as well because we want to help out the community.
Yeah, and the businesses that have really thrived have been able to pivot, and adapt to this changing climate. I've noticed that some of the local retail boutiques, they won't carry as much of the formal wear anymore because people aren't going out and doing those big galas as much anymore. But like lounge wear, for example, those kind of active wear.
You have to adapt or die, right?
Yeah.
If you don't adapt or you're not willing to adapt, then the problem is people are too stubborn sometimes to think that their way is the best way. And I'll be the first one to admit I'm like that sometimes, I have to be open to change. And whether it's my wife or whether it's the ladies in the office, they might have a better idea than I do. And I have to put my pride aside and I have to listen because a lot of times the best advice that I've gotten are from people that you would never expect to give you that advice. So we're open in our office for everyone. If you have a suggestion, let us know. And we'll be glad to run with that if that's the right thing to do. Same thing from our clients. We're always open for advice. How can we become a better advisor? How can we be better to serve you, let's say, as our clients? So we're also looking for feedback from them. It's all about being able to adapt.
I mean, if you really look at the climate that we've been living in, obviously the healthcare portion of it's been very sad. A lot of people have lost and gotten ill. But if we look at the bigger picture, we can at least say that this was a way that sort of forced us all to really reevaluate so many things in our life. And in a good way, it's allowed us to really prioritize what's really important. And maybe this is a perfect time as a result of that to reevaluate our finances.
Oh yeah, you have to prioritize. What do you want out of life? What do you want out of your retirement? What is important, what isn't? If you had 10 things to list, let's list them in order. So if you have your bucket list or whatever you want to do in retirement, let's list them in order to make sure that we can accomplish that. Are you trying to put the kids or the grandkids through college? If that's your priority, let's focus on that. Are you just looking to have the maximum income that you could potentially have? Let's focus on that. Are we trying to pay off all your debt or build more of a legacy to leave to your children or grandchildren or to, let's say, your local college? Whatever it might be, we need to build that plan around it. So we need you to prioritize. And prioritize in paying off your debt as well.
I think a lot of people who are listening probably think, I never knew I needed a financial advisor. And really, now is the time.
Oh, yeah. Now more than ever. You know, with the pandemic, with everything else that's going on, if you don't have a financial advisor, you miss out on things because you look at financial planning as just growing my assets and that's it. I need investments. That's my financial plan. That's not a plan. You know, those are investments. A plan is taking into consideration, how are you going to maximize your Social Security? How are you going to get to your retirement date with the amount of income that you're going to need to retire on? Where are you going to start drawing your income from? Which buckets? Let's talk about taxes. How are taxes going to, affect my portfolio? Where am I, when I take money out of my investments, what's my taxable situation? Are there any hidden tax complications that are going to affect my portfolio in the long run and cause me to maybe run out of money? Am I paying too much in taxes? You know, with the tax situation looming, and are they going to raise the taxes, not raise the taxes? Well, I think we all know they're going to. What's going to happen with the estate tax? You know, is it going to stay the same? Is it going to double like they're talking about? Or is it going to reduce? I'm not double, but reduce by almost 50%. It's at about 11.7 now, or almost 23 million for a couple. They're talking about reducing that down to about 3 to 3.5 million per person, or 5 million. Well, if it's at $11 million, obviously not a lot of people are affected. But if it drops down to 3 million, there's a lot of people. Those people that are on the cusp of $1 million could be at $3 million in a couple of years. And then it's stepped up in capital gains tax, let's say, at stepped up basis. Well, they're talking about potentially getting rid of that or putting a cap on that. And if we have a $100,000 investment, it's worth $500,000, you die and it goes to your kids, well, they get that stepped up value. Well, if there's no stepped up value and now they have to pay taxes on all that growth, that's huge. That's going to affect someone's portfolio. All of this is involved in a financial plan. You know, estate planning, legal planning, but people fail to realize that.
So the people who are out there listening who have never had these conversations with their financial advisors, or they don't have an advisor and no one's ever discussed these things, now is the time. You're offering this service completely complimentary, and other advisors are charging $1,000 or more for this. So there's no reason. Just pick up the phone and give us a call. 844-403-2275. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll come back and we'll get to some of these viewer questions.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no-obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Hello and welcome back to Retire Abundantly. I'm Sarah Peterson here with Tim Sullivan, CEO and founder of Strategic Wealth Advisors Group. We have been having the best viewer questions. They're calling in, the phone lines are getting busy, but they're asking great questions, and it seems like we're getting a lot of similar, topics that are really on people's mind. Here's one of the questions I thought was interesting. I'm 67 and my wife is 65, and we both plan on retiring at the end of the year. How do we know that we're ready to retire?
That is a good question. It's Great
also a big question,
It
right?
is. And there's a lot of things that get involved there. There's really two sides when you're getting ready to retire: emotionally, a mental side of it, and then you have the financial side. So emotionally, am I ready to retire? And I always like to say you have to have a plan in place for your money, but you also have a plan in place on what you want to do in retirement. Because waking up every morning or not having to wake up every morning becomes boring after a while. You know, that gets old. Trust me, we deal with clients all the time that are heading into retirement. So am I ready emotionally? You know, maybe you had a powerful job, you were a CEO, you were in charge of your department, you were a doctor, you were a nurse. Are you willing to give that up of going every day feeling really important? Now being in retirement, you don't have that. So emotionally, are you ready? We need to make sure. And then financially, are you ready? Do you have your debts paid off? How much have you saved for retirement? We say it every segment, every show, I think, that bucket list. What are your plans for retirement? So we are only going to be ready for retirement if we know what we want to do in retirement, and we have something going to show us, let's say a financial plan that you could track on paper, that you're going to be okay. You're having that income met. Your expenses are going to be paid. And emotionally, I'm ready. So do I want to play golf? Do I want to travel? Whatever the case is, find something to stimulate your mind as well.
Absolutely. I mean, we've talked about this before, but health and wealth are the two most personal things that you can really deal with in a person. So you're not only advising people on their finances, you're probably having to deal with a lot of emotions that are going on. And emotions are very heightened now in general with the world that we're living in.
They are. A lot of times I feel like a psychologist,
Yeah.
you know, or a therapist,
yes.
for sure. You know, and it really is. And you're also talking to them about when you retire. Remember, you haven't seen, you guys, you and your husband, let's say, haven't seen each other on a daily basis, 24 hours a day. Are you going to be able to do that? So it's preparing them, you know, emotionally as well, and just taking the whole situation.
What do you do in that scenario where the wife wants the husband to retire, or vice versa, and one wants to retire and the other one doesn't want them to?
Oh, we've seen it. I had people, unfortunately, argue in the office where the husband or the wife says, "You are not retiring. I'm going to retire. You're going to continue to work for the next couple of years." It's really just, hey, you know, all you can do is give them some guidance and tell them what your opinion is, or show them some statistics, or show them, you know, what has happened with previous clients, let's say, and then let them make that decision, because you definitely want to stay out of that. You don't want to be in the middle of any kind of divorce or anything else.
Absolutely not. That would be exact opposite of what we're trying to achieve. So given this sort of volatile market we're in, and this kind of unpredictable climate in the world, are you suggesting to your clients that they are more conservative financially?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if we look at the market in general, we've had a great, let's say, 12 years, but what's next? I mean, a normal market cycle might be 6, 7 years up, and then you have that down year. We really haven't had that. Yes, the market was down from COVID, but that's because the states shut down and because of the pandemic, and then that market went right back up. So I think, I don't have a crystal ball. None of us do. If I had a crystal ball, I'd probably be sitting on some yacht in the Mediterranean and not doing this show. But I don't have that. So eventually this market is going to go down, you know, and we're probably closer to the end of it. I'm pretty sure we're closer to the end of the bull run than we are to the beginning. So we need to prepare our clients that way, have them be more conservative. If we go back to, let's say, 2008, when the market went down, in 2009, we had the most retirees that were enjoying their retirement, sipping on that cocktail, enjoying life, have to go back to work in some capacity, whether it was part-time or full-time, because they lost so much money from the pandemic, or I'm sorry, from the loss of 2008, that while they were taking income out, and this is where I have to stress, most advisors fail, is that distribution phase in retirement. There's two phases. There's the accumulation, while you're working and you're saving your money into your retirement accounts to prepare for retirement, and then that distribution phase. That distribution phase can ruin your retirement. And most advisors are not very good at that because they're not trained that way. Mm-hmm. You need to take all of your assets that you're used to accumulating and now turn that into an income stream. And if you don't know what you're doing, you could ruin your retirement.
You know, it's unbelievable to me. I think so many people approaching their retirement really all of a sudden realize, well, I've spent my whole life sort of saving up, but I don't know where the money is or what it's doing. And it just seems like it's just like a pile of statements. It's not really a plan.
No, it's not a plan at all. And what we want you to do is we want you to leave our office. We want to take that complex situation and make it real easy for you to understand. So when you walk out, you could tell us exactly what we're doing. We want you to understand why we're putting money in these certain different investments. We like to say green, yellow, red. Well, green is for safety. It's there for income. Yellow is we're managing it on a daily basis. And red is going to be more risky. It's just sitting in a stock or a mutual fund, let's say unmanaged. We want you to understand why you have these investments and what they're doing for you. These are providing income. These are providing growth. That way you truly understand your overall plan. And yes, you need to have a plan. Most people fail because they don't have a plan. So you need to start off with having that plan just by having a conversation.
Well, that conversation, how do we know how to guide that conversation? What are some questions we can be asking to our current financial advisors, or we're interviewing a new financial advisor? What are some questions we can be asking?
I think the first thing and the most important one would be, are you a fiduciary? Because an advisor who is a fiduciary has a legal capacity to put the interest of that client first, as well as their goals. Okay, so they're not working for another company, a higher company that's forcing you to put your clients into, let's say, some proprietary products. That could be happening, they might not be happening, but that's the way a lot of these big firms are. So they're probably not putting your interest first. If you see a lot of mutual funds with A, B, or C, let's say after it, you might be in a lot of funds with fees. You might not understand what those fees are. That might be not be in a fiduciary capacity. So ask your advisor if he's a fiduciary first. And if not, I would probably seek that second opinion right away with someone who is a fiduciary to see if you're doing the right thing. And then ask them, are they holistic? Are they comprehensive? You know, what other planning do they do? Because like I said, financial planning isn't just about investments, it's about income planning, Social Security planning, maximizing your pension, legacy planning, as well as tax planning and estate planning. These are imperative to have done with your overall financial plan. So ask them if they're a fiduciary, ask them if they're holistic or comprehensive, and then ask them, what are you going to do for me? You know, not just about the money, but what's your outlook? Or do you have any other referrals that I could call, current clients, to get a second opinion on you, the advisor? And if they're not willing to do that, that's kind of scary as well.
Absolutely. Well, now these are questions they can be asking you. This phone number, again, is 844-403-2275. This sort of roadmap to retirement is something you're offering completely complimentary, which to me is invaluable. We've talked about the peace of mind that it gives people, much less the fact that other advisors are charging $1,000 or more, which you could be doing, and you're not, for the viewers who are listening today, which is really super special. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then when we come back, I'd love to get to some more of these viewer questions because they really are very informative for, I think, everyone that's listening out there.
Sure.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Hello and welcome back to Retire Abundantly. I'm Sarah Peterson, here with Tim Sullivan, CEO and founder of Strategic Wealth Advisors. Tim, the phone lines are so busy, and it's wonderful because the viewers, they ask questions that I think are relevant to sort of everybody. We're starting to see a lot of the same topics over and over, which is not surprising, but one of the topics that we keep getting questions about are annuities. And are annuities something we need to have in our portfolio? A lot of people have a lot of negativity surrounding them and really don't understand them.
We probably need 2 more shows to discuss annuities.
All
The
right.
pros and cons, and there's good annuities and there's bad annuities, and a lot of people only hear about the bad annuities, but they lump them all together in one. And it depends on your situation. So there's what's called fixed annuities, fixed indexed and variable, and I'll touch on all of them here in a second. But all we keep hearing about is these bad annuities, these variable annuities, or these immediate annuities where you lock your money up or there's high fees. And I always ask people when they first come in and they say, I hate annuities. Why do you hate them? You know, I don't know. I just read about it or I keep hearing about it. And I'll ask them, do you like your Social Security? Of course I like my Social Security. Do you like your pension? Of course I like my pension. Well, those are sources of annuities. So you do like annuities or some type of annuities. And like I said, there's good and bad. But your fixed annuity is just putting your money in kind of like a CD and you're getting a guaranteed interest rate over a period of time. So maybe it's paying you anywhere from 1 to 3%. But you're locked in for that 1 to 3%. It might be right for you, it might not be. If you take it out early, there could be a surrender penalty. And then you have an immediate annuity where you're trading that in for a pension, let's say. And that might not be necessarily a good annuity for some people because you're giving it away for guaranteed income for a period of time, but if you die, maybe your beneficiaries don't get the remaining funds. And then you have what's called a variable annuity. And this is going to be tied to the market, so it's going up and down, and there's a lot of fees involved. You could be paying as much as 4% in fees every year. So before you even make a profit or even break even, you have to make 4% in the market. So if you had made 6%, you're only netting 2% with these fees. But they sell them because of these guaranteed death benefits or guaranteed income benefits. I'm not a fan of variable annuities, and that's where you hear a lot of, I hate annuities off of these variable annuities. And then you have what's called a fixed indexed annuity. And that's kind of one of the popular ones today because they're very good at providing income or growth. So your principal's guaranteed, you'll never lose a penny, but your interest is based off of how an index does. Let's say the S&P 500. So maybe you get a portion of what that S&P 500 does. Maybe it's, you know, up to a cap. But you know I'm going to make anywhere from 0 to whatever this cap is. Let's say it's 6%. It's not a bad return for safe money, an alternative to sitting in the bank. And then you can also turn it on like a pension if you need it and not have the remaining balance not go to your beneficiaries. Whatever's left could still go back to your beneficiaries. So it's like having a good doctor and a bad doctor, you know, a good attorney or a bad attorney, good advisor or a bad advisor. You have to understand each and every annuity to see what's right for you. And like I said, we could sit down with you and make that very easy to understand to see if that might be, you know, a good product for you to have inside your overall portfolio. But it's not something that you should have all your money in, for sure.
Well, we've talked about this before, but our grandparents' retirement was very different. I mean, they had their pension and Social Security, and we don't see this as much anymore. And so things have gotten a lot more complicated. There's a lot more financial vehicles.
You have to create your own income. That's the thing that people don't understand. So yes, we have our Social Security, and we have theories about whether Social Security is going to run out or not. You know, are they going to fix that? So we have our Social Security. I don't think we can really count on that. Yes, we want to factor that in our plan, but let's say that something happens with Social Security. How are we going to make that up? If we have a pension and that pension goes, you know, out by the wayside because it's underfunded and it goes away, how are we going to make that loss up? So we need to factor in that we could potentially lose our Social Security, we could potentially lose our pension, and what assets have we built up to create our own pension? You need to create that own pension so you have that guaranteed income coming in out of a portion of your money. But then there's the other portion that we have to invest differently. We have to invest that more for market growth so that we could potentially turn another income stream on down the road, let's say.
What about somebody who maybe already just retired? Say they retired in 2020 or 2019, but they still don't really have a plan put together and they're kind of listening to this and thinking, I don't have any of these answers. Is it too late?
No, it's never too late. First thing I'm going to ask you is, do you have that income plan? Do you have that plan if you haven't filed for Social Security yet to maximize it? You know, do you have a written plan or do you just have those investments? It's never too late. Give our office a call. Let's sit down. Let's have a conversation. Let's figure out if there's anything wrong with your plan. There might not be. You know, you might be okay, but if you're not factoring in all of the other avenues of overall retirement planning, like legacy planning and Social Security planning and investment planning and income planning, then you probably are not in the ideal situation. You just have those investments. And it might be getting you by now, but when you have a lot of market volatility, your investments can be subject to sequence of returns risk, which could potentially run out of money inside your portfolio. So you're not really taken care of. Wouldn't you rather have peace of mind, especially when it's complementary? You know, we're going to show you value first and have a conversation. You could take our plan and go do it yourself if you want. We're hoping that we show you value and why you should work with someone like ourselves. But first thing and foremost, we're going to give you an actual plan that you could track.
You know, it's interesting because there are so many financial vehicles available to us, and it's a blessing in many ways. But if you don't have the right person in your corner and the right financial advisor, how are we supposed to know where to turn? This is not part of our formal education.
It can be overwhelming.
Yes.
I mean, if we look at Google, you could type in any question into Google, you might get 20 different answers. So what's the right answer? All it's doing is confusing us.
Don't Google it.
I know, and we want to take that complex situation, like I always say, and make it easy for you to understand. This investment might be right for you, this investment might not, but at least you should have professional advice by someone who is a fiduciary who's going to look at your situation and give you the best advice possible. What you do with it after that is up to you, but at least get that second opinion.
So for the viewers who are just joining us, what you're offering to them is this roadmap to retirement, completely complimentary, which other advisors charge $1,000 or more for.
Yes.
And this is your gift to the viewers out there. It's just so that you guys can have a conversation.
Yeah, we just want to sit down with you, have a conversation, see if we could get to know your situation better. We're going to do that x-ray of your overall financial plan, see if we can uncover anything wrong. And if there's something wrong with it, maybe we usually find at least 2 to 3 things that's wrong with it. Maybe something's wrong with your income stream. Maybe there's some tax implications there or some potential tax time bombs that we want to bring to your attention. Maybe you're going to run out of money earlier than expected. Maybe you're going to have plenty of money or too much money and you need to invest that differently, you know, for tax purposes. Maybe we need to do some Roth conversion and here's why. Or some legacy planning. After sitting down with you and having that conversation, we uncover that your biggest goal is to leave the most amount of money possible to your children. We want to make sure that you're going to be able to do that through an actual plan. So we have to figure out what you want to do, and then we can help you and provide that information that you're looking for. So for the first 10 callers that call in today, we're going to provide that complimentary consultation. I'll even throw in a complimentary copy of my book, Strategic Wealth, A Tactical and Practical Guide to Winning in Retirement.
It's a win-win for everyone. It's literally a conversation. All you need to do is pick up the phone. We learn so much every time we're together, and I love your passion for what you do. So next time we'll have to get to the rest of the viewer questions, but it's been wonderful talking with you today.
It's been a great time.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Road to Retirement.